I'm conducting research with my client here, who's with me, discussing these different radio options. I'm just trying to get an opinion on them and what they like and dislike about each one. So, start with this one, please. Could you tell me what you like or don't like about it?
Yeah, this one I quite like because it's very clear to use with the large buttons for the volume and the on and off. I also really like the shortcuts that they've added because it makes the use understandable, as some radios can be complicated to use. So I like this concept that they've added. Finally, I like the fact that it's monotone. It's good and bad because it doesn't really add a lot of color, but then that means I can incorporate this into any part of the house or anywhere else, since it doesn't really stand out or clash with anything. So yeah, I think that is a good um, positive thing for this product.
Right.
But yeah.
And what do you think about the text? Does it help you understand, or is it, as you said, clear by itself? Would you be able to understand it without the text, or do you think it's required?
Well, I think the text is necessary for the buttons and also for the shortcuts because, I mean, clearly you wouldn't know which station you'd be pressing if you're pressing a random button unless you yourself have
Yeah.
programmed them before. And I think the volume, maybe not, because that is quite common in most radios, but I mean, the on and off, you'd need to.
Perfect. And so what do you think? Moving on to something quite different.
Yeah.
What do we think of this radio here?
Not a huge fan. I think it's quite bullish and bulky. It just takes up a lot of space. I mean, obviously that's a certain aesthetic, but it's not something you'd have in your house if you just want to have something sleek and discreet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
And what do you think of it being all black? Is that something you'd prefer, or something again that you wouldn't really?
It's
Uh,
not something I would tend towards. I think feels a bit aggressive. Uh, yeah,
yeah.
it's not exactly the kind of style I would go for, I'd say. But I mean, yeah, it looks quite military-like, and it's not exactly what I look for in a radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this control system.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on it? Any thoughts on the screen or any of the buttons?
I mean, the buttons are quite clear, I'd say. Well, they're a bit small. The text is a bit small, actually, so maybe not super
Yeah.
accessible for some people. But it's good that they have a screen because I guess they can show multiple things.
Yeah.
More modern and up to date compared to some radios.
Yeah. And I think by looking at this one, you'd be able to tell that it could produce a lot more
Yeah.
volume than a lot of the other speakers. Would
Yeah.
that be like a big concern for you when you're looking at radios?
I think it's important, obviously, to be able to hear clearly, but I think it's not something I'm looking for. I just want something
Okay.
to
Yeah.
hear enough.
Yeah. Okay, and let's talk about this again, very different radio from the last, a lot smaller.
Yeah.
What do we think of? I would say this is quite minimalistic design.
Yeah,
Is
definitely.
that something you tend to go towards usually?
Well, it feels like it does kind of just fulfill its function, doesn't it? It doesn't really have
Yeah.
any kind of aesthetic to it, which I don't know. It's not. It's obviously it does its job, but I don't think I really like that because it doesn't really incorporate this whole kind of sleekness to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very clear. It seems clear enough how to use it. If it produces enough sound, I don't know. But yeah, the fact that it's just black and white, just obviously it's good.
Could you say it's a bit boring almost?
Yeah, definitely a bit boring.
Yeah.
Definitely some better designs out there. I mean, it does its job, but it's not
Yeah.
the best.
Okay, and then we'll move quickly on to the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
Yeah.
quite the opposite of a colorless design. It's
Definitely.
got quite the hue, the pastel hue.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this one. I like the fact that the circles are kind of like overlapped and stuff. It gives it a bit of character.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, in terms of the actual like functionality of it and like how easy it is to use, it looks a little bit more complicated. but this doesn't have that many buttons. I feel like it's still quite accessible
Yeah,
and clear.
yeah. I mean, I understand what you mean about there's a lot of numbers, and someone who's new to radio maybe wouldn't understand
Yeah,
what all the frequencies would mean.
represent. Yeah.
And
But I really like I like, even though there's obviously this color, but still a nice color that's not too harsh or
yeah, you could
aggressive.
say it's soft on the eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And even just the shape, the kind of soft edges and stuff. It's
yeah,
just nice.
yeah. The curved edges, I quite like that as well.
Yeah.
And so I think the volume is quite I quite appreciate it because it's very simple. It's
Mm,
just a simple 1 to 10
mm,
with numbers, because sometimes I'll be fiddling with it with the volume and you won't be able to have a precise precise value every time.
mm.
It'd be like roughly different every single time you turn it.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that? Would you prefer something like this or
Yeah, I
something
think
like the previous one where it's just there's no defined values?
no, I think I prefer it when it's defined.
Yeah,
Because you kind of just get a sense of like a scale of how much volume there is really. And I think the other ones you always tend to turn the knob like 50 million times. So
yeah.
this is better.
Right, perfect. And then we'll move on to this one over
Oh,
here.
and it's portable, the other one, which is always good.
Oh, it is portable. We didn't spot that handle.
Yeah.
And retractable
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's very good.
portable. So is that something you're looking for within a
Yeah, I
radio?
mean,
Portability.
yes.
So when you're using a radio, would you be using it around the place, or you sort of in a just one location?
No, I'll definitely bring it around. I wouldn't just want it like sat in one place in the house. Just
Yeah,
bring it around would be a useful feature for a radio.
yep, absolutely. Okay, and yeah, so this is sort of what we're talking about when it's it's very clear that it's not portable at all,
Yeah.
and it's more it sits in one
Straightforward.
place. So
Mm.
any thoughts on this? I mean,
I mean, it does look a bit more intimidating with all the numbers and stuff.
yeah,
I mean, it's nice. It looks quite solid, and it feels like it could definitely fit in with like a more like wood
yeah.
vibe in a house. But
It looks quite sturdy, doesn't it?
yeah, which is nice. But yeah, it's not. It still looks quite modern in itself. Doesn't look like a very old one.
Yeah,
But I mean, yeah, it's not really like portable or anything like that.
yeah. Okay, and this one here.
Yeah, that looks quite old.
So immediately we're thinking old with this
Yeah,
one, right?
I mean,
This
it is
one's
portable.
this one is portable,
Yeah.
but would you carry around something like this?
I mean, if it was my style, but no, not for me.
Yeah, fair enough. That's understandable. I
Yeah,
mean, I will mention it's portable. It's very clearly designed as a sort of walkie-talkie
kind of
style
vibe.
vibe. And yeah, so what do you think about this? Because
Mm.
there's a lot of numbers. I mean,
I mean, yeah,
for
this is one of them. This is the older radios,
yeah,
so if someone who isn't used to this, they might not know how it works, and it
yeah,
obviously doesn't come with well, it might come with instruction manual, but it doesn't. It's not intuitive. So
yeah. There we go. That's a good one.
so it's not exactly useful. I mean, obviously it's retro, but it's not exactly something that people look for
True.
nowadays. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
nice.
And then we move on to this one.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's a similar vibe to some of the other ones.
Yeah,
Some of the
it
older
does. It
ones.
looks quite sturdy. I mean, obviously you'd leave this in one spot. You
Oh,
wouldn't be moving
absolutely.
this around. It
Yeah.
looks quite heavy.
Yeah.
And again, the numbers and letters are like incredibly small, so not accessible, especially for people of older generation, like
Oh yeah.
with eyesight and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it does just give this more antique look, which is not something I'm looking for in a radio.
Yep. Okay. And I mean, very similar to the previous one.
I mean, this one's nice because it's got the curved edges. It's got the
Yeah.
sort of
So you like the sort of
design-wise.
streamlined feel to it.
The kind of just the soft edges. It does look quite nice, even though obviously it is antique. It has a sort of modern-ish
sort of
feel.
form to it.
Yeah, which is nice.
And there we go. We're looking at something a bit
All
different.
quite digital.
Yeah, very digital,
Yeah.
very almost I'd say postmodern sort of style.
It feels quite like obviously this is another one of the very on form, very like focused on form and stuff. Like not form, sorry, on functionality. Like it's very like I feel like there's much aesthetic to it apart from the color.
Right, yeah, you're
So
right. Yeah, so maybe it'd be something like from the modernist movement
yeah,
and something like that.
definitely, yeah.
And so what are we thinking about any specific features of it?
I mean, yeah, the numbers are quite big and clear, so that's good, I guess. The labeling is clear enough, but it just doesn't really feel like a radio. Really, it feels more like a CD player or something.
Yeah.
So I feel like that kind of loses its whole charm because it's literally just for the function of listening to radio, whereas it doesn't have, you know.
Yeah, so maybe someone could mistake it,
Yeah, exactly, and
So
not use it correctly,
maybe
maybe.
it's not such a clear radio.
Yeah.
Right, that's insightful. Let's look at I think let's look at this
Ooh.
because this is uh this is very retro.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very retro.
you'd see people using this like maybe in the 80s, 90s
Yeah, yeah,
sort of
definitely.
era. Would you ever sort of purchase a product like this,
Um,
even just for the nostalgia feel?
well, I mean, no, probably not. I mean, I like this. Obviously it has a lot of history and background because of the from back in the 80s and stuff.
Yeah,
But I mean, it is portable, which is always good. Something I'm looking for. But I feel like nowadays there are so many better, more efficient products out there that it's probably not worth it. And I mean, obviously for decoration, people probably use it, but I don't think it's nowadays it's actually
yeah.
useful.
I mean,
Yeah.
I taking it from your previous answer, I don't think you'd really like this one. But
No.
what are your thoughts on
I mean, it does
on
look
this
quite
one?
grand and quite has a sort of yeah with the like the kind of columns on the side and it looks obviously quite well crafted and stuff. So
Yeah,
good quality,
yeah, good quality, well crafted. Yeah,
well crafted. Like the wood, obviously, I don't know if it's made of wood, but the wood
yeah,
like
it is. Yeah,
is it's obviously nice. It's a nice finish to it and all that. So yeah, it looks like a high quality thing, but obviously quite antique. So
yeah,
not exactly the modern type of radios that are made now today. And also, yeah, the same old. Not really good. I don't know how
yeah.
to use it.
And thoughts on this?
Yeah, that one's very nice. That is kind of perfect because it's got the portability. It's got the soft edges and everything, and it's got a nice aesthetic to it with the colors. I mean, the cream and the off white is nice because it just
Yeah,
kind of they fit well together.
yeah. And what do you think of the use of wood with like
Yeah,
a sort of polymer material? Does it work well together?
yeah, I think it works well together. I think it like it just has different textures and different like yeah, just uh textures I'd say. And also the handle as well. It just kind of just
Yeah, it fits with the whole thing, doesn't it?
it fits very well together. I think.
Yeah, and so I noticed with this one it has legs as well,
Yeah,
a little feet. Is that something you'd like to see in a design?
yeah. I think obviously if you're planning on bringing it around and also putting it down, it's obviously important that it's
Yeah, to avoid like scratching surfaces, probably.
exactly yeah.
Yep. And let's move on to. I mean, this one we'll skip this one because it's very similar to some of the other retro ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, but this one I think was very different,
Mm,
very unique. Obviously, the dynamo element of it with
yeah.
the hand crank. What do you think of having something like this on it instead of using batteries or other sorts of sources of energy?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think that's very environmentally conscious. I think that's probably quite good to have this sort of dynamo thing. I think obviously that might make the actual um, sorry the how long the the power lasts on the radio would be quite short, maybe not as efficient, but I think it's a very good concept.
Yeah. And
Um,
could you see yourself using something like this or?
Well, I think
Or would you rather go for, I mean, you say it's environmentally conscious, of course, but
mm,
would you realistically go for something like this? Or would you go for something battery powered?
I mean, it'd probably just be easier to get something battery powered.
Yeah,
I think, yeah, just overall use, it'll just be a lot easier.
yeah.
Um,
And it's got that sort of similar aesthetic to some of the other monotone ones.
yeah,
So
exactly.
you would don't, I assume you do not really like the aesthetic on this one.
No, no, it feels just a bit, yeah, same as the black one from the
Yeah,
top, similar
yeah.
vibe.
Okay, well, thanks for giving your insight
Yeah,
on some of these. It's just helped sort of get a little document going of what you like, what you don't like, and yeah.
thank you.